What is going on, everybody? This is Ryan back again with another video, and today this is going to be my 2017 playoff predictions. We have a full bracket right here, and this bracket was actually inspired by Peter Jaguar's very nice, brackets he's been doing over the past couple of years, but doesn't look like he's very active on YouTube anymore, and I decided to go ahead and carry on the legacy of the playoff predictions. So we're going to go ahead and jump right on into this, but first I want to go ahead and mention this is in no way, shape, or form anything other than predictions. I'm not doing this out of spite towards any other team. If I eliminate your team, it's not for any other reason other than that's what I personally believe will happen. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it and start off with the number 6 seed Miami Dolphins going into Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. Now this is a very crazy matchup to me because Miami, I don't understand how Miami ended up squeaking into the playoffs. Like, there was a lot of times where you figured the Denver Broncos might be the 6th seed, or, someone from that Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos division was going to ultimately end up being the 6th seed, but somehow Miami ended up getting in there despite not having their starting quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. They actually stumble into the playoffs with Matt Moore, and there's a lot of teams like that. We got the Oakland Raiders, coming into it with Matt McGloin, but he ends up getting injured. Now we have Connor Cook coming in, and then Tom Savage for the Texans ends up getting injured in the Tennessee Titans game, and now it's looking like Brock Osweiler is going to come back. So there's a lot of, injured teams going into the playoffs in the AFC. It's kind of crazy, but unfortunately for Miami, I think that streak of, what should I say here? What's the word I'm looking for? Unpredictability, getting into the playoffs. It was a great run for Miami getting there, but unfortunately they have to go against the Steelers. And I just don't foresee, Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. I don't foresee those guys not going hard against them and just winning the game right out of the gate. I think they pour it on early. I think Miami has no chance to, fire back and keep the score close. Their defense might keep them in the game for very little amount of time, but I think the Steelers will just come right out of the gate and at least put up 14 to 21 points near halftime, and I just don't see Miami, keeping up with that. So I think the Steelers will advance to the divisional round to face the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, moving ahead to the Texans and Raiders game, we're going to be seeing the Houston Texans at home against the Oakland Raiders, which, a lot of people thought Oakland would win that division. Of course, there's 2 quarterback injuries here, and then also another set of quarterback injuries to the starters, to the other starters. Like, it's actually crazy how this matchup has come to fruition. Like, we had Derek Carr scheduled to go up against Tom Savage if all the quarterbacks were healthy, because, Brock Osweiler actually got benched, but Derek Carr ends up getting injured, and then Matt McGloin ends up getting injured. So now we got Connor Cook against Brock Osweiler because Tom Savage also got injured. Isn't that crazy? Like, so many injuries to quarterbacks for these two teams, and it's not something you want to see being a fan of the teams. Oakland was kind of looking like the Super Bowl, favorite for a little bit. Derek Carr was, putting up a bunch of numbers for them. They were scoring a lot of points. The running game was on point. Latavius Murray, Jalen Richard, and then DeAndre Washington. I'm not sure what his name is. He's a really young kid, but he is a spark plug for that offense. But now without Derek Carr, and definitely without Matt McGloin, they're forced to go to rookie Connor Cook, and it just doesn't look like they have enough firepower. It doesn't look like Cook is going to be able to get that offense rolling and get it clicking like Derek Carr could, and even Matt McGloin, it didn't look like he was able to do it either, and they're going to have a tough matchup here in Houston. Houston is definitely hungry. Their defense is going to be on point. That front seven can get nasty at times with Clowney, Merciless, all those guys there. And I just see Houston coming in and winning for their hometown crowd. And unfortunately for the Raiders, it was a good run. You looked like Super Bowl contenders, but I know people hate the phrase, there's always next year. But for the Oakland Raiders, they can't wait for next year because they know what that team is capable of. They know what Derek Carr is capable of. And unfortunately, it's just not looking like they can continue that magical season that they've had, and it'll ultimately come to an end when they face Houston. I see Houston moving on and facing the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. Now let's go ahead and move on over to the NFC side of things. We have the New York Giants, the 5th seed, going up against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. And let me tell you what, guys, a lot of people, including myself, so I'm not even, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus here, but a lot of people were saying, what is wrong with Aaron Rodgers? Why is his team not performing well? Why is he not performing well? Let me tell you something, guys. Aaron Rodgers is on another planet in terms of quarterback play to Eli Manning. Aaron Rodgers has been absolutely unbelievable as of late. All the talk of what's happened to Aaron Rodgers is now, oh no, I don't want to go against Aaron Rodgers. There's not a single team in the NFC that would want to play the Packers, and unfortunately, the New York Giants have to go on the road in Lambeau. Aaron Rodgers knows what it's going to take to beat the Giants. Jordy Nelson's healthy. They don't have to worry about a whole bunch of backup wide receivers. I just foresee Aaron Rodgers coming right on in. Hometown crowd. Everyone's behind him. Everyone's cheering for the Packers. And I just don't see the Giants able to compete with that. I think the Packers score a bunch of points. The Giants try to counter back. Odell has a decent game, but ultimately Aaron Rodgers buries them with at least 3 to 4 touchdown passes, and they move on to face the Dallas Cowboys, the number 1 seed. That is going to be an insane matchup. Can't wait for that. If it happens. Like I said, this is just a prediction video. This is not what's going to happen. So moving on now, we have the number 6 seed Detroit Lions coming in to Seattle, the number 3 seed. And again, another team where, they actually did play well for a long time. The Detroit Lions actually, started off kind of slowish and then started to actually start winning a bunch of games in a row. Matt Stafford, a lot of people were thinking that he could possibly be the MVP of the NFL. Those talks have ultimately died down. But, without Calvin Johnson this season, they definitely showed that they could still, move the ball through the air. Matt Stafford was as sharp as ever. Definitely had a lot of really good games there. They don't really have a great running game, however, so it's going to be hard for, them to compete in the playoffs. If they were to move past Seattle, I just don't see it happening. I think it's a full hometown sweep in the first, wild card rounds here, and I definitely see the Seattle Seahawks coming out on top. Even though they've struggled, they have definitely struggled as of late. They almost lost to the San Francisco 49ers in Week 17, and they've definitely had a lot of issues. But when that team is on point, when they're playing well, Russell Wilson's playing well, and that defense is playing like that defense does play, it's very hard to beat them. And I think now that they're back in the playoffs, they're ready, they're hungry, they're definitely going to beat Detroit and move on to play Atlanta, and we're going to go ahead and move on from there. So now moving back over to the AFC, we're going to go ahead and get this one out of the way. Unfortunately, Houston does end up beating Oakland, and, they do it for their hometown crowd. They're thinking, maybe we can get to the Super Bowl in our hometown of Houston, Texas, NRG Stadium. How crazy would that be? But then they look on the other side of the field, and they see Tom Brady. I don't think I need to really say much more than I don't think Houston really has a chance there to keep up with the amount of points that Brady could put on the board. I can definitely see some sort of crazy scenario where Tom Brady is just getting relentlessly attacked, by Clowney, Merciless, all those guys on the D-line, and he struggles. He throws a bunch of, errant passes and, maybe gets picked off a couple of times. But even then, I still can see the Patriots overcoming that, and Brady ended up winning that game. So I still think the New England Patriots come away. I think it's not going to be close. I think Patriots are going to come out, beat them, and you may even see the backup quarterback near the end of the game. It's New England, the number 1 seed at home against the Houston Texans, who, probably a lot of teams thought shouldn't even have been there. So I see the New England Patriots winning that game and winning it handily. Now moving on to the Packers and Cowboys game. So like I said, no team wants to see Aaron Rodgers. No team wants to see that. But the Dallas Cowboys have already beaten Aaron Rodgers. They've already beaten that team. Now, does that really mean anything when it comes to the playoffs? No. But at least they know what he's capable of. They know how to counter him. And they definitely have the offense. They definitely have Zeke, Dak, Dez, Witten, the offensive line. They're all clicking. They're all playing as well as the Dallas Cowboys have ever played. That offensive line is on another level. I think even if Aaron Rodgers goes off, that defense is just not good enough to keep up, and stop Dallas Cowboys' relentless offensive attack. I think Zeke goes off. I think Dez has a nice game. Even Beasley and Williams, they're getting in there. And then Witten with a couple of clutch catches. It's going to be close. It's definitely going to be close, but I think Dez is actually going to catch it this time, and the Dallas Cowboys are going to come away with the victory and move on to the NFC Championship game. Now, who are these two teams going to face? We have the Pittsburgh Steelers facing the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round, and we also have the Seattle Seahawks facing the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC divisional playoff round. So let's go ahead and move on to the Steelers and Chiefs. Now, the number 3 seed Pittsburgh Steelers coming on into Arrowhead at number 2 Kansas City Chiefs. What do I think is going to happen? Well, again, I think Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, those 3 guys, when they're on their game, when they're at the biggest stage that they can be in the playoffs, I think they're going to show up. Even though the Kansas City Chiefs have a really good defense, I could see the Steelers overcoming that. I could see them even in Arrowhead, because I watched my Tennessee Titans beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. The way we beat them was controlling the ball, running the ball down their throats, and making sure we did not make mistakes. We didn't throw the ball near their corners to where, Marcus Peters can intercept the ball. Eric Berry, we kept it away from him as much as we could. And I see the Pittsburgh Steelers as a way better version of the Tennessee Titans on offense. And I could definitely see them coming in to Arrowhead and winning that game. And the Steelers will move on to the AFC Championship against the New England Patriots. Let's move on to the NFC Championship. So we do have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Atlanta Falcons. First time we're talking about the Falcons here. So what do we think the Falcons are going to do? Well, the thing is, Matt Ryan, again, we're talking about Matt Stafford. We're also talking about Zeke, which could be an MVP candidate. But now we're going to talk about Matt Ryan, who has been on another level as well. A lot of people may not know this, but the Atlanta Falcons are scoring about 33 points a game this year. Their offense is insane. If Julio Jones is healthy, if Devonta Freeman is playing, on both sides, receiving, rushing, if he's getting carries, if he's touching the ball, I just don't see the Seahawks being able to keep up with that offense. They do have a great defense, but I really believe that if Atlanta puts on the full force offensive assault that they can, Seattle will just not be able to score enough points to match it, and I see Atlanta ended up winning that game probably around the score of like a 35 to like 20, somewhere around that range. They just score too many points. It's going to be so hard to keep up with that style of play. I don't think the Seahawks will be prepared for it, and Atlanta may be one of the hottest teams in the NFL at this point in time, entering into the NFC Championship game. I think Dallas is going to have their work cut out for them. So we're going to go ahead and jump right on into the NFC Championship game, and we're going to talk about that. Who is going to win? We have Matt Ryan on one end. We have Dak Prescott on the other. We have Ezekiel Elliott. We have Devonta Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Julio Jones, Dez Bryant. So many crazy names in the NFL in this game. And even though, like I said, I think Matt Ryan and the Falcons are just an offensive juggernaut, I think once Dallas is, once they start getting going, once they start, getting it, running the ball and, running down their throat and running behind that crazy offensive line, Dak throwing nice passes to, Dez and Beasley and Terrence Williams, it's definitely going to be a shootout. It's definitely going to be a shootout. Both teams don't have a great defense overall. If you really look at it, I know Dallas has the number 1 rush defense, and then the Falcons have, kind of like a middle of the pack defense. But I could just see this game being a huge shootout. And in Dallas, they're definitely hungry. They're trying to get to the Super Bowl for the first time, and I don't even remember the last time they've been there. I just don't think Matt Ryan is up for that type of game. I think Dallas is going to come away with the win. They're going to, do what everyone thinks they're going to do and get to the Super Bowl, but I don't know. Who are they going to play, guys? We're going to have to figure this out right now. I know it's kind of shocking. Maybe some people thought the Falcons were going to advance. Maybe a lot of people thought I wasn't going to pick the Cowboys, but I just see, Zeke running down their throat. I see, Dak playing so well, being a rookie and all. He's going to try to want to do everything he can in the playoffs, and a lot of people would crack under pressure, but I could see him definitely, coming through in the clutch and, winning that game. So moving on to the AFC Championship game now, we're going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. So I'm going to make this short and sweet, guys. Tom Brady versus Big Ben. Tom Brady is going to lose. I know it's shocking. I know a lot of Patriots fans right now are looking at me like, Ryan, you got to be kidding me. I'm unsubscribing. I'm giving this video a dislike. You've got to be kidding me. Hear me out right quick. I want to keep it short and sweet because I don't want to explain myself too much and get everyone all riled up. I believe Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, all the guys they have there, all their weapons are going to be too much for that defense to handle. And I think they show up, and they show up big. I think they show up bigger than they ever have. I think Le'Veon Bell is going to have an absolutely monster game. Antonio Brown is going to be way too much for any of those guys to handle. And Brady is just not going to have enough help. And I know that's crazy to say. He's never needed that much help. He's been winning Super Bowls with guys like Deion Branch and like Jabbar Gaffney. Guys you can't even really remember. David Patton, I think his name was. David Givens. I just don't think that they're going to be able to overcome what the Steelers are going to dish out in that game. I think the Steelers are a hungry team. They want to get back to the Super Bowl. Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, they want to show up in the biggest stage of them all. They want to beat the Patriots, and I think they're going to do it. So now we have the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl 51. Again, I'm not going to go too in-depth. We're already tons of time into this video. I didn't want to make it this long. I just want to go ahead and say, I know my buddy Chase and Clickwood are Dallas Cowboys fans, and I don't want to make a decision based on that. So I want to go ahead and throw it right on out there. Again, just like the Patriots game with the Steelers, I think the three-headed monster, the three-headed attack is going to be too much for Dak, the rookie, Zeke, the rookie, Dez Bryant. I don't think it's going to be enough that I don't think Dallas can overcome it. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be your Super Bowl 51 champions. Big Ben, Super Bowl MVP, doing his thing like always. Or Le'Veon Bell. It could be Le'Veon Bell as well. Actually, it could be any one of the three. You don't really know which one is going to go off most. If I had to put my money on it, though, it's usually always the quarterback. I'll go with Big Ben. I think they're going to have too big of a game for Dallas to overcome it. I think it's going to be close early, but I think Pittsburgh will end up pulling away near the end, and I just don't think Dallas will have enough, to overcome it. I think the Steelers, even though they have one of the worst defenses you've seen in the playoffs, I think they're going to pull it through. And maybe it's just, I live in Pennsylvania. Maybe it's just a Pennsylvania talk. Maybe just, trying to see them win another Super Bowl. I don't know. I've never really liked the Steelers in my life. But I definitely think they have the team right now to shock the world and, beat the Patriots and, beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead and then beat the Cowboys. I really think they can do it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the predictions. Like I said, this is just my personal thoughts. It's nothing, personal, just giving my thoughts and opinions on the playoffs. So if you guys did enjoy, please go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.